Okay, so in economics, we will soon motivate the course, but basically we try to study in this course the kind of questions economists study. Okay, we address certain questions. For example, if I went to school one more year than you did, what will be the differences in our salaries? Or if we distributed mosquito net to people, how would that impact on the ability to avoid malaria and so on? So these are some of the questions we address in economics, and you will see some of them as we move along. And then we look about the principles that govern our profession in terms of teaching and doing research as economists. Okay. Of course, I've said I'm in the statistics department. I'm a lecturer in statistics, but I'm an economist. Okay. What are the principles that govern how people interact and so on? We'll be talking about those in this course. Okay. First of all, let's define a keyword. Once you're an economics student, you must know we talk about scarcity. It is the reason why economics exists as a profession. Okay. So you might find that I'm speeding a bit, but a little bit of marathon is good for you. Just pay attention and follow the slides will be given to you afterwards, end the video, so you'll be able to play back and so on. So just pay attention, you'll be fine. Okay. Let me see if there are some chat messages before I continue. Please, we can't hear anything. Can you log out and come back in if you're having such a problem? Please, can someone hear what is being taught? Oh, you can hear me? Please, I'm in group A and the period is clashing. You see, I told you all these questions should be sent at the end of the course. Okay, Betty can hear. Okay, Patrick, I can hear. Excellent. No, I don't. I can't hear. Yes, I can. We can hear clearly. If you have such a problem, please get some internet and so on. Okay. All right, I'm going to move. I'm not going to the chat anymore. Okay. All right. So concept of scarcity is just the idea that society's resources are limited. The water we have, the land we have, even gold, oil, all resources we have as a country, society, we assume in economics, these are scarce because they are limited, okay, in quantity. Okay, so because resources are scarce relative to demand, we need to think about how to choose carefully and so on. And that gives birth to the subject area economics. Okay, so when you hear scarcity, we just mean resources are scarce. They are not in, unlimited quantities. Okay. There is a keyword called shortage, which is different from scarcity. Scarcity means whatever quantity that's available is limited. Shortage is just a market condition. If you went to a market in Makola, you said, I want to buy tomatoes. The woman says there's a shortage of tomatoes. You are going to ask her, so when should I come back? Or when will you have more? That is the idea of shortage. There will be more later on. It's just a temporal market condition. But when they say tomatoes is scarce, what we have is finished, that's it. It is scarce. You cannot ask when you should come back. It's over. That's the difference between scarcity and shortage. Okay, scarcity is finished, it's gone. There's limited quantity, nothing can be done about it. If Ghana's gold is finished, that's it. It's a scarce commodity and that's it. Okay, so know the difference between shortage and scarcity. If you're talking about these things as an economist, you should distinguish yourself clearly. Okay. So that's the idea about scarcity. And what do we do as economists? Basically, we study how to manage, okay, scarce resources. That is all. If resources were not scarce, economics might not exist as a profession. And some people say there wouldn't have been an economist in the Garden of Eden because there was no scarcity. Okay, so economics exists because scarcity, we need to manage scarce resources and so on. Okay. I have 24 hours in a day. How do I separate that? Sleep a bit, go to work a bit, all because the 24 hours is limited. Okay, so the idea of scarcity must be clear to you. So economics, we study how people decide what to do. Like I've said, my salary is fixed quantity. All money we receive is either consumed or saved. So I must decide a proportion, how much I save, how much I spend, because salary is limited. Resources are scarce. As a company like MTN, how many workers do you employ? How much of your income do you spend for advertisement? How much do you spend sponsoring Ghana Most Beautiful and so on? All these decisions made by individuals or firms or society, we study them as economists. And by the way, this is a microeconomics course. There are two main aspects, okay, two main branches of economics. We have micro and then macro. This semester will be micro, basically. Next semester, you come back for macro. Macro is big, okay? It studies the economy as a whole, inflation, unemployment, and those stuff. Micro essentially will be about people, individuals, and firms, okay? That's micro. And then macro will usually be about the society as a whole. So there are three main economic agents: individuals or households, firms, and government. Okay, so the individuals or households and the firms constitute the micro, okay, field. So we study how people interact, how firms take their decisions, how society also interacts, and so on. Now, this morning, the first section, I'm going to talk about 10 principles of economics. When we say principles, what do we mean? If somebody says, I'm giving you the principles of life, he's giving you some tips that are assumed to be the truth of life. And as you live your life, you kind of use them to govern the decisions you make. So that's the idea about principles. When I say principles of economics, they are kind of truths that set the foundation for what we do as economists, how we think, how we study economics. The chain of thought will all be governed by these principles. So when I say principle, that is what I mean. Okay, I'm going to check the chat box and come back. I can't hear anything. Nana, Ama, please try. Okay, try. Use your roommate's phone. So I'm going to be talking about 10 principles of economics. The first one is people face trade-offs. By the way, in an exams, I can ask you, list 4 out of the 10 principles and explain what they mean. So the takeaway point is just know what the principle it is saying. Just get a flavor and that's it. When they say principle number 1, you must know it says people face trade-off, and you must know what we mean by people face trade-off. So that is what, okay, I expect of you. Principle number 1 is what? People face trade-off. After every principle, I will check the chat box. So why don't you take your time, okay? People face trade-off. What does it mean? It means you cannot eat your cake and have it back. If you're attending my lecture right now, you cannot be at a party. It's a trade-off. You cannot eat your cake and have it back. You have something, you sacrifice the other. That is what we mean by people face trade-off. To get something that you like, you have to give up something. That is all we mean by people face trade-off. If you want more money, you must work more hours. Then you have less sleep. So trade-off there. Make more money, less sleep. You cannot have both. People face trade-off. If you want to protect the environment by fighting galamsey, you have less gold that is extracted. It's a trade-off. Do you want less gold and protect the environment, or you deplete the environment and have more gold? It is a trade-off. You cannot have both. That is what we mean by principle number 1. People face trade-offs. Society faces trade-off. Will Ghana want to spend more money to protect, to recruit people into the military, or we recruit fewer people and spend the rest of the money in education and so on, or building hospitals? You cannot have all at the same time, or because of scarcity, people face trade-off. Okay. This is another slide I want to talk about before we move to the second one. Very important. There's something called efficiency and equality. I want to establish this morning that there is a trade-off between efficiency and inequality. In other words, you cannot have both at the same time. What is equality? As the name suggests, it is straightforward. It stems from the word equal. Do you want people to be equal in Ghana, where we all have good amount of the money in Ghana, in terms of, we all have equal amount of money in our bank's account and so on? Do you want that? If you want that, then you must tax people. Take tax from rich people and share amongst poor people so that we all become even in a way. That is the idea of equality here. What is efficiency? Efficiency means getting the most from scarce resources. How many economists can I reach from 7:30 to 9:30 today? The more I reach, I am being efficient. As somebody harvesting mangoes, how many mangoes can you harvest in 1 hour? If you harvest more than I can do, you are more efficient than I am. If you are watching Nigerian movie in the ministries instead of working for Ghana, you are not being efficient. You are not getting the most for Ghana within 1 hour or the 8 hours you are supposed to work. That is the idea of efficiency. Who is giving us the most within the specified time period? Now, the story is as follows. When you tax rich people and give to poor people, they will be demoralized. They will not work hard, and that affects efficiency. That is the source of the trade-off. Do you want equality? Tax more people and give to poor people, and the rich people are demoralized. They have no incentive to work hard, and efficiency goes low. Or you want to allow rich people to enjoy their money, tax them less. They are excited to work hard, and efficiency is up, but equality is low. That is the idea of the trade-off between efficiency and equality. In other words, you cannot eat your cake and have it back. You cannot have both at the same time. Okay, I'm moving to the chat box right now. Is opportunity cost the same as trade-off? They are highly related, and I'm moving next to that. Okay, good. So, sir, the people face trade-off similar to opportunity cost. Yes, they face trade-off, and when they face the trade-off, they forgo something. Once they forgo something, we give it a name. That is what we call the opportunity cost. Excellent. So this is where I am. I've moved away from the chat box. Okay. Principle number 2. The cost of something is what you give up to get it. We don't care what accountants think, but we economists, we think the right cost to think about when you are thinking about taking a decision is the cost of the things you forgo is a relevant cost. And I'll explain more. We call it opportunity cost. When you are making decision, compare the cost with benefit of alternatives. Okay. We want you to think about opportunity cost, alternatives forgone. If you never took economics, you must know what scarcity is. You must know what opportunity cost is. Because of scarcity, resources are scarce. You cannot have everything. Therefore, you must make choices. You cannot have also make a choice. As you make a choice, you forgo something. The one you forgo, we have given it a name. We are calling it opportunity cost. As you have come to my class, you decided to forgo watching a movie at this time. And so the opportunity cost of coming to my class is the movie that you couldn't watch. The alternative you gave up is the opportunity cost. So that should be clear. Because of scarcity, you must make a choice. As you make a choice, you forgo something. Then once you forgo, we clearly call them opportunity cost. Okay. So if you are coming to University of Ghana this first year, the cost of coming to Legon, it is not just the academic facility user fee, the books and other fees you are going to pay. We are saying that you could have been working for salary and you forgo those salaries. They are also the cost you have incurred for coming to Legon. So we are just saying that as an economist, think about the foregone alternatives. Think of them as cost to you. These are things you could have gotten, okay, and you decided to choose to come to Legon. That's all we mean, that think about opportunity cost also when you're calculating your cost, the alternatives forgone. If you're going to see a movie or watch a movie, the price of the ticket is a cost, but we want you to think about the value of your time you spend in the theater, which could have earned you some money. Okay, so opportunity cost, okay, the cost of the principle is what? The cost of something is what you give up to get it. We as economists, we work with that as the cost of something, the opportunity cost. If I'm doing a research, I'm saying the cost of coming to Legon, I'll be thinking about your opportunity cost, the foregone alternatives. Let me go to chat box. Sir, people can't join. Oh, maybe we have gotten to 300. 300 is the capacity. Yes, we are at 300. I can see we have 300 right now. So I'm sorry, it is full at 300. Join us tomorrow. Oh, yeah, it's full. 300. Okay. What if we have free resources? What do you mean? Resources are scarce, even if they are free. Okay. There is still opportunity cost, right? Even if you are in love, you go and watch a movie you don't want to watch because your partner wants to see the movie, so you are forced to sit there. and you are forced to smile. I went to see a movie in California. I didn't understand anything, but I was also laughing when they were laughing. It's a cost to me. I could have spent my time doing something else, right? So even though, moreover, even if love is free, you are inconvenienced, you are spending time doing something and so on, okay? Principle number 3, rational people think at the margin. This is very important. You are going to meet this throughout your stay in economics. Please stay with us in the Department of Economics. Don't go anywhere. Work hard, pass your classes, become a single major in economics. We want to produce more economists. Principle number 3, rational people think at the margin. Who are rational people? We think these are people who systematically and purposefully do the best they can to achieve their objectives. Okay. And when people are making decisions, you can make your decision as an accountant, whatever. The point is that we economists, we believe in a principle that rational people think at the margin. What is this margin? We are saying that the decision is taken based on incremental adjustment. In other words, MTN should not think about employing 100 people at a time. They must decide, do we need to hire one more person or not, and do the calculation. If it makes sense to employ one person, you employ. If not, you don't. That's what we mean by small incremental adjustment. What is the additional benefit that worker is bringing on board to MTN versus what is the cost of bringing that worker on board? Compare the additional benefit that worker is bringing, marginal benefits, additional benefits, compared to the additional cost, marginal cost of bringing that worker on board. If it makes sense, you employ the guy. Making sense means the additional benefits exceed the additional cost. Then you can employ the guy. So we think about direction. Direction, should I employ or not? And not distance. Distance means employ 10 people, 100 people. No. Think about it one step at a time. Make small incremental adjustment. Okay. I will explain more before I look at the chat box. When people have unlimited calls to make on their phone, they can make unlimited calls. If they do, they tend to make frivolous calls, unnecessary calls. Why? Because the benefit of making a call is positive. Anytime they are chatting with somebody, they are happy. What is the cost of making additional call? It's almost zero. Marginal cost. Additional cost of making a call is zero because it's free call. Since the additional cost of making a call is zero and there is a positive benefit to making a call, marginal benefit exceeds, additional benefit exceeds additional cost. Therefore, people will be making what? Very long and frivolous calls each time. Okay, thinking at the margin, comparing additional benefits to additional. There's an example I like making about aircraft. Who knows some of the domestic aircraft, the domestic liners in Ghana? Some of the domestic airlines. Please, if you have unmuted yourself and making noise, discipline yourself and mute it quickly. We have Starboard and what? African World Airlines, some of the domestic airlines we have in Ghana. So I like making this analysis to show you. Assuming African World Airlines, very irresponsible, mute yourself. Everybody has been muted now. African World Airlines, assuming they spend 100,000 Ghana cedis to fly 200 people to Kumasi. I've taken them before. Let's say African World Airlines spends 100,000 cedis to fly 200 people to Kumasi. What does it mean for the average cost of flying a passenger? Average cost of flying a single passenger is the total cost of flying 200 passengers divided by the number of passengers. I want to know on average how much the aircraft spends on one person, and that's 500 cedis. So African World Airlines will spend 500 cedis to on each individual if they are to fly 200 people at the cost of 100,000. What is my point here? It turns out that the average cost of flying a passenger is 500 cedis. Now, you are the manager of African World Airlines. The plane is about to take off. The plane is not full. Somebody shows up with 200 Ghana cedis. Will you take the passenger or not? Okay, send me a chat message telling me your decision. The plane is not full. You know it costs 500 cedis on average to fly somebody, but this guy shows up with 200 Ghana. He wants to fly to Kumasi. The plane is about taking off. Would you pick him or not? Abdul Basi says he will. A Sylphie says yes. Somebody says he will not. Foster says, oh, Foster's own is gone. Yes. Derek Kofi, yes. Razak, yes. Richmond, no. Oh, yes. Kobe, yes, I will. Okay. Kelvin Walker, okay, yes. All right. So it's true. You should pick the guy. Although he's paying less than the average cost. Why? Because as a manager, we are saying you should think at the margin. Therefore, you consider what is the additional benefit of picking the passenger is 200 cedis. What is the additional cost of picking the passenger? Almost zero. The plane is going to go to Kumasi anyway, and the plane is not full. So adding that passenger, you are bearing an additional cost of almost zero. In other words, the additional benefit of 200 exceeds the additional cost of zero. So as a manager who has taken economics, you see, this guy is paying 500 less, sorry, he's paying 200 less than the average cost of 500. Let me look at the benefit of picking this guy. It's 200 Ghana. What's the additional cost? It's almost zero because the plane is going to go anywhere even without him. It costs almost nothing to bring him on board. Of course, he will drink some more Coca-Cola and some biscuits, but that's negligible. And therefore, you pick him. That is what we mean by thinking at the margin. When you hear principle number 3, what does it mean? Think of the additional benefit and additional cost and make a decision. That's it. I'm going to the chat box. Okay, there is no question pertaining to this. Excellent. You guys are great. The additional cost of picking a passenger, right? The plane is not full, right? Whether you pick him or not, the plane is going. Bring him on board adds no much cost. He will drink Coca-Cola and water, which is way lower than the 200 he has offered. So it makes sense to pick him. But if you are thinking of the average cost, then it doesn't make sense. But we economists think you must rather think at the margin because rational people make small incremental changes. Okay, that's it. Let me pick quick questions. Okay, Albert say big ups. Are you enjoying the class? Mine is to make you enjoy the course. Okay. All right. Principle number 4, people respond to incentives. This is straightforward. It's just grammar. When you give incentive to people, they respond. If you say go to secondary school for free, it's an incentive, they will respond. If you put a tax on cigarettes, teenagers who don't have money will reduce their smoking of cigarettes. When University of Ghana decided to charge money before you can use our main gate, you cannot drive through the main gate of Lagos without a pass. You cannot drive through the gate at Ivandi of the TF. Once we brought that, people responded to that. You cannot be driving to Legon campus by heart. All the Trotro people, in the past, this campus, Trotro people were driving through here. They will go in front and go through to Gimpa to Achimota. When they brought the ticket, they all diverted. People respond to incentive. That's principle number 4. That's it. If petroleum price goes up, people will park their cars and may take Trotro or join their friends or buy the Uber kind of cars. That is principle number 4. People respond to incentives. If I say, come and visit my office and ask a question, I used to do that in America. When students visited my office, then I give them 1 percentage point. In other words, if you got 79%, that's 80%, and that's an A. And a lot of students responded to the incentives, right? They wanted to secure their 1 percentage point. Okay. All right. So somebody want to see my picture. I'll try the video small. If it reduces the stability of the internet, and then I'll take it off. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Think about the problem on the board and let's discuss. 2 minutes. Think about it and tell me what you think in the chat box. Okay. Think about the problem here. Two minutes. Abdulbak, yes, we're saying small incremental changes. So thinking at the margin, you consider the additional benefit is the marginal benefit and the additional cost. And as a manager of or individual, you take the one step you are taking, whether you are moving forward or back. That's what principle number 4 is saying. Okay. So if any serious economist writes a research and so on, yes, that is what they are going to say. Okay. They will convince me by saying that, well, Razak is taking this decision because I know Razak's marginal benefit exceeds the additional cost. I'm very sure Razak, who we assume is a rational being, will take that decision. Okay. Okay, so the video weakens the strength on the internet. Okay, so I'm going to take it off. Okay, I'm in statistics 006. Okay, all right. Yes, people have their answers already. I'll go for option A. Option A, will you repair or not? Okay, Benedict said he will repair. Option A. What of option B? Techno guy says you repair. Kennedy O2, I'll repair and sell. Okay, excellent, 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 excellent. Okay, excellent. 2 minutes is over. Excellent. You are following. Check out the answers. The value of the car, if the transmission works, is 7,500. If the transmission doesn't work, it's 6,200. Therefore, what's the benefit of fixing the transmission? 7,500, the cost, the value of the car if transmission works, minus the value of the car if transmission doesn't work, you have 1,300. Therefore, the cost of fixing the transmission is 900. That's additional cost you want to incur. Additional benefit is 1,300. It makes sense to fix the car, the transmission. I beg your pardon. Option number 2, scenario number 2. The value of the car is 6,300 if the transmission is fixed, or 5,500 if the transmission is not fixed. What's the benefit of fixing 800? If you fix it, you get 6,300. If you don't, you have 5,500. The difference is 800, the benefit of fixing the transmission. It is not worth fixing. The additional benefit is less than the additional cost of 900 cedis to fix it. So that is it. Let me see what people are saying on the chat box. I want to repair B. Benedict. Yes, solid. Okay, solid. Infinix says, okay. All right. Okay, good. Good. Let's move on. So what was the point in the exercise we just did? The 1,000 cedis you had already spent is a sunk cost. Don't think about it when you are deciding to fix the transmission or not. That is gone. It is sunk. At this point, I'm deciding to fix transmission or not. That 1,000 I already spent is irrelevant completely. It is sunk. At this point, I consider the additional benefit of fixing the transmission to the additional cost incurred to fix the transmission and take my decision. Rational people think at the margin. That's it. Principle number 5 is straightforward. Trade can make everyone better off. And that is intuitive, right? It stems from the idea of barter, but here we are not just exchanging, you are buying with money. When you trade, you're able to buy a variety of goods at a very low cost. If I'm a potato farmer and you rear cattle, you cannot keep eating cattle for the rest of your life. I cannot keep eating potato for the rest of my life. Why not buy some cattle, beef from you? You buy potato from me. We all buy tomatoes from the other guy and have variety of dishes. So it is intuitive to appreciate that trade can make everyone better off. As a society, Ghana may not be able to grow apple in Ghana. The climate is not good. We have to create a laboratory, put in the climate to grow apple. That is so expensive. Why don't you buy apple from Mexico or the US? And the US will buy cocoa from Ghana or buy corn or maize or mango from Somalia and so on. So it's clear that trade makes everyone better off. And then we buy the apple cheaply because in Mexico, in a temperate region, they can grow apple at a very cheap cost and so on. Okay, so the principle number 5 is straightforward. Trade can make everyone better off. We specialize, we produce at lower cost and exchange. We are all better off. Principle number 6. Oh, let me check the chat box. So principle number 5, is it related to the theory of cost advantage? Yes, it's related. Yes. Short answer, yes. So principle number 5, an open market is better. Principle number 6 is where we are talking about the market. Principle number 6, markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. What is a market? Market is any effective arrangement that brings buyers and sellers together. Market is not necessarily a place. If you are starting a business, people will ask you, is there a market for your product? They are not asking whether there's a place in Medina or Accra where you can sell. They are asking if there are buyers. That's the idea of market. Any arrangement where, which brings buyers and sellers together is market. You're a professional economist, do not think of markets as a single place. What do we mean by organized economic activity? 1, you determine what goods and services to produce. Organized economic activity in Ghana, you are determining what goods and services to produce. Are we going to produce economists? Are we going to produce barbers, people who barb our hair? Are we going to produce umbrella because the rainy season is coming? Are we going to produce shea butter now because Harmattan is coming? What goods and services to produce? If you are organizing economic activity in Ghana, you're actually thinking about that. How much to produce? Yes. Are we producing 10,000 bags of cement in 2021 or so on? How much to produce? Okay. It's also part of organized economic activity. Who should produce and who consumes? Will you allow KNUST to produce engineers or Legon? Will you allow NASCO to produce flat screen or Samsung? Who produce and who consumes? Are you producing walking stick for older people in Ghana or sweater or nose masks? Who are you producing for? For kindergarten kids who are back in school? So who consumes? You must think of them when you're organizing economic activity. What to produce, how much to produce, who produces and who consumes. Now, organized economic activity, as I've explained, can be done in 3 main ways. Organizing what to produce and so on, who to consume, how much to produce, can be done through a command system, command or control system, command or controlled, or through the market, or the mixed economic system. In the controlled, which is not popular in many countries nowadays, the government is in control of resources and organizes economic activity. So government may set up a board. The board will say 2021, looking at our forecast, Ghana will produce 1 million bags of cement. That's it. The board will say, okay, we have the mandate, we have been authorized to determine for Ghana, looking at the way the COVID is going, we are going to produce 10,000 face masks. And so on. So there's a board, a government institution manages resources and decides all these things. That is command or control. What about market? Market, there is no board or institution. You leave it to the market. If people are demanding more sanitizer, yes, the sanitizer companies will produce more. So resources are managed, owned by private individuals. They read the market and respond to it. Okay, and Adam Smith describes this as the invisible hand. It's an invisible hand determining how many to produce, who should produce. It's invisible. If KNUST produce more engineers than Legon, students should be allowed to choose KNUST. Nobody should sit down and say, you go to KNUST for engineer, you go to UCC. No, allow the market. Let people apply and choose what they want. That's the idea of invisible hands and the market organizing economic activity. The mixed system is a mixture of both, which is what pertains in most economies like Ghana. Post office is owned and run by the government in Ghana. ECG is privately owned, so Ghana has a mixed system, okay? In the US, even prison is privatized. You can build your own prison and say, I am running a prison, I'm a businessman, I'm running prison. That's what happens in America. And then you charge government for every prisoner government brings to your prison. So that's highly privatized. The market system works so well in the US. So that's what we mean by market. We economists, we believe this is the best way to organize economic activity. Allow people to demand, allow producers to meet the demand of supply, allow the invisible hand to determine the price, not somebody sitting somewhere and say the price of farm milk henceforth is 20 Ghana. No, we don't want that. We want the market to determine these things. And that is principle number 6. Markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. I'm going to move to the next, but I'll check my charts. So the famous insight by Adam Smith, as I said, he says, allow the invisible hand, which in his book he published in 1776. 3 important things happened in 1776. You must remember Adam Smith, the father of economics, published his book, The Wealth of Nations, in 1776. That's number 1. 2, the United States got independence in 1776. And 3, the steam engine was discovered in 1776. I'm moving to my chat box. Sir, I'm in City Campus. My friend, is it related to the class? Is it the same as capitalist, socialist, and mixed? Yes, capitalist will be like the private system. Sorry, the free market idea, yes. Socialist will be like resources are controlled by the government and the mixed system. Thank you, Honorable Bruce. You are the member of parliament for what? Legon constituency? Prince Kate Otu, and so on. Derek Edu, sir, I'm in City Campus. Hope it won't affect me. What? You have your own classes, okay? I don't know much about that, okay? Can we mix the principles when listing? Yes. Corbina, 1776, what happened again? Yes, the United States got independence. 1, the steam engine was discovered or invented in 1776, okay? Remember now we are using combustion engine where we use petrol and those things. They started with steam engines, and then Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations, this book, the father of economics. Okay, remember some people call our vice president Wale Adam Smith because he's an economist and Adam Smith is the father of economics, right? That's why people kind of say, oh, this Wale Adam Smith. That's where the name comes from, okay? So that's principle number 6. Prices are determined by the interaction of buyers and sellers. I have espoused this point already. My senior colleague, Professor Bernardine, will come and take you through the mechanics of demand and supply, how the invisible hand works, and so on. To adjust. What I want to highlight here is that the price of a good reflects how much you value it. Okay, if you are paying $1,000 for an iPhone, it means that is how much you value it. If the seller wants to hand over the iPhone to you at $1,000, then it reflects the cost of making the iPhone. So the price of a good reflects the value to buyers and reflects the cost of producing the item, okay, in a free market. Sir, please, can City Campus join? You see, the capacity is 300. When you join, how can main campus students join? You have prevented them from joining. Okay, we will come there, okay? Principle number 7, government can sometimes improve market outcome. Remember, I've told you the markets are the best way of organizing economic activity. Allow the market to determine how much gold should be produced this year. Allow the market to determine how much timber should be gotten from our forest. Allow the market to determine how many nose marks, how many NASCO televisions should be manufactured this year, not somebody sitting somewhere in a control system determining stuff. But we are saying that in as much as we think the market is a good way, the market can be inherently inefficient, and therefore government may have to come in and push the market to a desirable outcome. Okay, for example, if people are responding to the demand for gold and therefore are doing galamsey left, right, center, there will be an outcome we do not like. Our water bodies will be polluted and depleted, so government must step in and improve the market outcome. If you are smoking cigarettes in a lecture theater, it is going to pollute other people. They are not happy, and it is an inefficient outcome. The satisfaction of people in the lecture theater is reduced because of you smoking. It's an inefficient outcome, and government can step in, bring the police, and improve market outcome. If I teach for Legon, Legon doesn't pay me, then the Economist will not be produced in Ghana. I will not work, the lecturers will not work. That is affecting economic activity in Ghana, and it's an inefficient outcome. Government must step in. If you go and buy a pizza you don't pay, the guy will no longer produce pizza. Therefore, Ghanaians who want to enjoy pizza will be denied. But people must enjoy what they want if they have the money, and that becomes inefficient. So government uses the courts and the police to enforce property rights and the rule of law to improve market outcomes. That is what we mean, that government can sometimes improve market outcomes. Okay. ECG is a monopolist. ECG is the only one supplying electricity. They can charge exorbitant prices and we can do nothing. That becomes inefficient outcome because of that, some people will be alienated or dropped from enjoying electricity. But government wants every Ghanaian to enjoy electricity. If that happens, government will step in and even control prices. And that will mean that government has improved the market outcomes. That is what we mean by principle number 7. Government can sometimes improve market outcome when even there's market failure. Market failure can mean that some people who really want the goods do not get it. If you really want electricity, you don't get it because the price is so high. It's a market failure. Let me go to the chat box. Esther, I'm powerful. Sir, can cost of goods reflect the value quantity for buyers? No, can the cost reflect the value quantity? It's not clear what your question is. Somebody is saying Ghana Water Company. I bet the class is very interesting. Yes, mine is to make you enjoy the course, okay? Okay, if there is so much inequality, government can improve market outcomes, as I've said before, tax rich people and distribute to poor people. There is COVID and so on, government took money, pay for electricity, water, they can share to unemployed people and so on. Maxwell, sir, I just came due to network. Sorry about that, Maxwell, you can join the class tomorrow. So if government gives tax holidays, does it relate to principle number 7? Government can sometimes improve market outcomes. Yes, it can be related, but you must argue your point clearly that there is a problem government is solving. Okay, maybe there's a problem, ECG is worrying us, companies want to also establish their plants, and government say, well, come and establish a plant in Ghana, you will not pay tax for 10 years. Those are tax holidays, and they are supposed to solve a problem and therefore improve market outcomes. If you argue that way, yes, it falls under principle number 7. Okay, let me pick a few messages. Okay, I'm behaving like a radio show host. Looks like I'm qualified to work at a radio station, right? Picking text messages, right? Sir, please, can we get sample of questions to solve on our own? Yeah, of course. I'll shoot a homework soon, hopefully after the class, so that you'll be very active. Okay, we are not here to play. Principle number 8, 9, and 10. They are related to macroeconomics, so I'm not going to spend so much time on them. They are related to macro, okay, rather than micro, which is our focus. Okay. Principle number 8, a country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. Okay, what is standard of living, by the way? Standard of living in America is different from Ghana. What is point number 8? We are just saying that if a country produces more goods and services, they will make more money and it improves the lives of the people. Let me take it again. If a country produces more goods and services, they will get more money and that improves the standard of living of the people. That's all principle number 8 is saying. If Ghana produces more goods than Togo, people in Ghana are expected to have a higher standard of living than Togo. What, therefore, is standard of living? Two things, the quantity, one, and the quality of material goods and services needed to make life comfortable for people. Are you driving on potholes or smooth roads like motorway? That determines your standard of living. Which kind of water are you drinking? Which kind of hospital are you attending to? Do you join long queues before you see a doctor? No, in the US, yes, in Ghana. So standard of living is higher in the US than Ghana. How can Ghana improve? Principle number 8 is saying that your ability to produce more goods and services will improve the standard of living. That's all. Principle number 9. Prices rise when government print too much money. Let me pick some message on. I have to sign up at CTFM or JFM, right? I'm reading messages, right? Sir, is standard of living similar to a buoyant economy? Yeah, I can let that pass. A buoyant economy is booming. People get jobs to do. They get salary. They can buy NASCO TV. Standard of living has risen in Ghana. People are not watching the old television again. Even toddlers are having flat screen and so on. Sir, if the export rate is greater than the import, can it improve? Yes, that means you make more money. That's all, making more money. Which book is recommended? The ManQ textbook is at the BAM library. ManQ. Download the syllabus on Sakai. You will see that we have listed the books over there. Go to Sakai on your left, look at syllabus, download. You will see the textbooks. What does principle number 9 say? I'll explain briefly and move on. Prices rise when the government prints too much money. Yes, it's simple. When government prints too much money, more money is chasing fewer goods. Therefore, the goods become expensive. Assuming they dash all of us 100 million right now, everybody wants to buy new iPhone, new cars. So much money chasing fewer goods, and therefore prices will rise. Of course, price will not rise if the production rises up commensurately. Assuming we are giving so much money and the amount of maize, amount of tomatoes are also produced commensurately to meet everybody's demand, then price will not rise. But it is not the case that production will rise commensurately or correspondingly. And therefore, in the short run, or actually in the long run, you will realize that when prices rise, when currency is printed, okay, too much money is printed, it shows up in the prices. That's principle number 9. And therefore, I move to principle number 10, which says society faces a short-run trade-off. Oh, let me pick messages. Sir, is there a WhatsApp group for economics? There should be. There should be. There should be. Principle number 9 is very clear. Excellent. Thank you, iPhone user. Principle number 10. Society faces a short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. This is what we mean in the short run. This is inflation. What is inflation? The rise in the average price level, okay, of goods and services in the country. So think about inflation as increasing price level in the country. We are saying if inflation goes up, it implies that unemployment will come down. Unemployment Where is my eraser? Unemployment will come down. This is what we mean by principle number 10. There is a short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. In other words, the opposite. If inflation prices were to be falling, what does it mean? We are going to see the opposite, improvement in unemployment. Sorry, worsening of unemployment. How is it so? If prices are going up, producers are very excited and happy, right? If pure water is 20 pesos, now pure water is 50 pesos, they'll be excited. So when prices rise up, producers are very happy. They'll receive higher revenue. So they are encouraged to supply more. As they want to produce more, they employ more people, and therefore unemployment falls. If prices were declining, producers are not happy, and therefore they are not interested in increasing production, and therefore they don't employ more people. They may even lay off workers, and unemployment rises. That is it. Let me take chat messages and we move on. Sir, can you go details about the short run and long run trade? What do you mean by you are confused? Where is that? Is it principle number 10, Barnes? Is it clear, the idea of trade-off between inflation and unemployment? Okay, it's a macro concept, so I don't want to go deep, just to give you a flavor of what it means. Once you want to go into long run, we are going to go into technical stuff. You must know certain things in macro, including the equation of exchange, MV equals to PY and so on, before you can see, if you are talking about the inflation one, the printing of money one, yes, we may have to go to add higher things here. When I want to talk about the long run here, I must introduce something you haven't covered yet, okay? So just get the flavor, okay? Sorry, you're having a network problem. Emmanuel, about the book is on the syllabus. Ask me those things at the end of the class. Okay, we are going to take 3 minutes break and then I switch. It's 8:32, so 8:35 I'll switch. I'm gonna pause the recording. Remind me to continue the recording. Okay, I've resumed. Excellent. So folks, let's go through the second session. Thinking like an economist. Welcome to the Department of Economics. We want you to think as economists. We've already given you the 10 principles and so on. Okay, remember all the 10, you should be able to explain to your grandmother what all the 10 principles are. Just giving her a flavor. Okay, when you go back to your dormitories, give a flavor to your roommates. Okay. So as economists, we play two roles. We act as scientists. Okay, when we act as scientists, we try to explain the world. And sometimes we act as policy advisors. We try to improve it. Okay, so those of you who become president of Ghana, please employ me as your advisor. Okay, I'll do a good job. Okay, so the president of Ghana has a lot of economic advisors. And as economists, we act as scientists, try to explain the world. For example, in my PhD thesis or dissertation, I try to explain why Agricultural Development Bank will exist separately from the likes of APSA, Stanchart, Zenith, Ghana Commercial Bank. Why is Agriculture Focused Bank will exist when Ghana Commercial Bank can also do the same thing? It's all about giving money to farmers, isn't it? But why would such a bank exist separate from the traditional banks? I explained that in my thesis, why it is so. So we try to explain the world as scientists, as economists, and as economic advisors, we try to improve the world. Okay? Why do we claim we are scientists? Because we also use scientific methods. We gather data, we observe data, we collect them through surveys, observations, we formulate hypotheses, we test them using data, we reject, sometimes we fail to reject scientific procedures. Okay, so we consider ourselves as scientists. Okay. That's the point. Now, thinking as an economist, that's the chapter 2 we are now. If you are thinking as an economist, you'll be working with assumptions and models. What are assumptions? Assumptions simplify a complex world and make it very easy to understand. We call them innocuous assumptions. Innocuous is an English word which means harmless. So people criticize us of making so many assumptions, but they are innocuous. They don't take away from the main issue. And you will see the assumptions we make are fairly innocuous. I want to study international trade, how countries trade amongst themselves. What is wrong if I made assumptions that there are only two countries and two goods, and then I solve the model, I get the intuition, and I'll be able to generalize. But using the assumption of two goods, two countries simplifies the work, and you will still get the intuition or the insight from such a model. So assumptions are not bad. They may be unrealistic, but they are just helpful in simplifying the complex world. Okay. So don't let anybody condemn your field because you are making assumptions. They are necessary. They simplify the problem and make them easy to understand. Next, economists, we work with something we call models. What is a model? A highly simplified representation of a more complicated reality. Let me take a message from the chat box. Sometimes, Saka, my friend, sir, when more goods are exported than imported into the country, then can also cause inflation. So when explain people overnight, can you put it inside to make it more understandable? Sir, when more goods are exported than are imported into the country, that can also cause inflation. When you export more, yes, I get your point. For example, if Togo is willing to pay more for our cocoa than Ghanaians can buy and so on, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, good thought. Yeah, okay. So ask these things at the end of the class. What is a model? Simplified representation of a complex reality. If you go and see your dentist, you will see a statue of a teeth, like a model of the human teeth. It is not real. It's just a model. It's able to do the job. They show you about the teeth, blah, blah, blah. Highly simplified representation of a complex reality. If you give me a map, I've never driven to Kumasi. I've always flown to Kumasi. But if you give me the map to the road network to Kumasi, it is a map. It is highly simplified. It doesn't show the traffic lights in Atinkoko, blah, blah, blah to Kumasi. The map doesn't show anything like that. It doesn't show the potholes, nothing. Highly simplified version of the road network to Kumasi. But with the map, I can go to Kumasi. It is a model of the road network from Accra to Kumasi. That's the idea of a model. Highly simplified representation. If you go to medical school, they have a dummy of a human being they used to teach. It's a model of a complex human system. That is the idea of a model. So far, you know why we make assumptions to simplify the work, make it easier to understand. And a model is just to, bring a complicated reality into a simplified form. Let me check the chat box. I'm going to introduce you to two models. Oh, sorry, Techno 5 guy. Say, I'm having problem with the sound. Sorry about that. Who else is having problems? Send me a message. I'm going to expose you to two models before we close. One of them is called a circular flow diagram. It's a visual model. Now you know what a model is. Meaning, a visual model of the economy. It shows how money flows through the economy, okay, from household to firms. Sorry, Emmanuel. Hopefully your voice comes. Now, how money flows through the economy of Ghana is complex. There are exports, as your friends are saying, there are imports, there are financial institutions. It's complex. But this circular flow is exposing you to how we use models in economics. We are abstracting from that complex reality to show you something simple, which still depicts what we want to show. It doesn't take away from what we want to establish, how money flows in the economy. Okay, so that's the circular flow. To go through this model, look at the assumptions we make to simplify things. Assume there are only two actors in the economy, although there can be more. Assume there are households. Assume there are firms. There are two markets, the market for goods and services, the market for factors of production. Now, what are factors of production? The resources we use to produce goods and services. Okay, land, labor, capital. Okay. Those of you who are not familiar with economics, in economics, capital is not like J3 or the money you are using to start a business. They are goods that are not meant for direct consumption, but for further production of goods and services. Like a sewing machine is not meant to be consumed by itself, but for further production, okay, of goods and services like clothes, shirt, trousers, and so on. And capital in economics includes buildings and machines. People are still asking questions I say you should ask at the end, okay? The circular flow diagram, we assume there are households and firms. Households, what are their actions? They own factors of production. Remember, households own the land, the labor, and the capital. They can rent or sell them. As a household, if you have 24 hours to yourself, you can sell some to a company and work for them. You can also buy goods and services from the goods market. What can firms do? Firms can buy or hire factors of production. They can also sell goods and services. So this is the market for factors. So I'm just showing you how money flows through the economy. That's all about the model. Okay. In an exams, the arrows can be given and you'll be told to tell us what is flowing from where to where. Look, labor, land, and capital are flowing from households through the market for factors of production to firms. So firms are hiring labor, land, and capital through the market for factors of production. So the arrows can be given at an exam. You must know what is flowing from where to where. You must know. For example, you cannot say labor is rather flowing from companies to households. No, that is wrong. It is rather the salaries, wages, rent, and profit that flow from firms or companies through the factor market as income to households. Then what is next? The money the households get, the income they get, they spend it in the market for goods and services and subsequently becomes revenue to the firms. The firms in turn will also sell goods and services. Okay. The firms actually sell goods and services. G and S means goods and services. They are sold by firms through this market and they are bought by households. Okay. So that's how money flows. Households, they start it, they have all the resources. Firms are entrepreneurs, they buy them as laborers, they employ you, pay you money, they also sell their goods, you also buy them, and the circular flows. Why is this a model? It's a model because we are supposed to have government actions, international trade coming in, but we've yanked those off to tell you that a model still tells the story. This still tells the story how money flows in the system, even though we've not brought banks or export and import or government actions like taxation and so on and so forth. Let me take some messages. Oh, the network, sorry. Philip Abba, nice presentation. Yes, I tried. Sir, please, can you explain capital again? Nyande Mohammed, capital are goods that are not meant for their direct consumption. They are meant to be used to produce goods and services. Like a tractor or articulator is not meant to be consumed, but to carry stones to be used to produce goods and services. A cement is not capital because cement will be consumed by itself and it is gone. But capital will not be consumed in the production process. Sir, can we have the diagram in the slides? Yes, of course. Sir, is entrepreneur not a factor of production? Yes, they are. They are absorbed in the households as laborers. Okay. In America, there are textbooks, they don't separate them. In Ghana, they separate them. Entrepreneur is different from labor in Ghana, but they are just still households, okay, workers. Let me take another message before I go to the second model. Sir, is money capital? In economics, no. Money that you are using for business is not, we don't treat it as capital. We treat them as asset. That's a different thing. Okay. Is timber a capital? No, timber will be more of a raw material or a resource. Okay. Capital goods, house, machinery. Okay. And by the way, timber will be consumed once the good is produced. The timber will no longer exist. So it doesn't qualify to be capital. Money is a liquid capital. Money is a liquid asset. I wouldn't say liquid capital. These are technical terms, okay? So money is capital, right? We don't want to go there. I've defined capital. We don't think of capital as J3 or money you are using to start a business. No, you are professional. Second model I want to expose you to is called a production possibility frontier. Okay, PPF. What is PPF? It is just a graph that shows combination of goods and services the economy can possibly produce, given available resources and technology. In your homework, I ask you whether this can be replaced with should or will. I ask you in your homework because this is so important. We are talking about what are the possible combinations Ghana can produce using our technologies and our resources. It's just a possibility. What are our options? So you cannot be using will. That is not what we will, no. It is not what we should. We are showing what we can. We are exploring our options. Okay, so the definition must be precise on a text. Okay, the homework will help you. That is production possibility frontier, a graph showing various combination of two goods an economy can possibly produce, given available resources and technology. Some books call it PPC, production possibility frontier. Yes, Honorable Bruce, yes. Example, please, we are building a model. Pay attention to the model. Okay, I am a modeler, so I enjoy these things. You must keep whatever I'm going to show next on this slide, keep it in your head. Otherwise, you may not be able to follow the next slides. So keep in your mind that we are assuming Ghana can produce two goods, computers and wheat. And we assume, remember these assumptions are innocuous, so they don't take away from what we want to show. Although we need capital to produce these things, we just assume that there's only one resource, labor. So to produce computer and wheat, you just need man hours, labor. We assume Ghana has only 50,000 hours available to the country per month to produce goods and services. Can you change economy of the country? Yeah, that's not too bad. It's not fatal. Go ahead. So please keep this example in mind. Ghana can produce two goods, computers and wheat. We use only labor in the production. And we have 50,000 hours left for Ghana all the time, every month to use to produce. Now, let's have some numbers here. Assuming Ghana decides to put all its 50,000 hours to produce computers, then that will be 50,000. Remember, we are just exploring possibilities. These numbers are just for pedagogical reasons, for teaching. You can change the numbers. We are exploring. Oh, before then, let's add this to the environment. We call them economic environment. You need 100 hours of labor to produce one computer. You need 10 hours of labor to produce a ton of wheat. Keep that also in mind. To produce one computer, you must invest 100 hours. To produce a ton of wheat, you must invest 10 hours. If Ghana decides to put all of its 50,000 into the production of computers, then 0 hours will be left for wheat, and therefore 0 amount of wheat will be produced. Why would 50,000 hours yield 500 computers? This is it. A computer requires how many hours? 100. So if you have 50,000 hours, divide by 100. 0 cancel 0, 0 cancel 0. You are left with 500. So 50,000 hours gives you 500 computers. And 0 hours gives you 0 amount of wheat. Now we can populate the field. When you go home, it is your duty to work through these numbers. I told you it is only commas you need here. You are not disadvantaged if you never did economics. You are not disadvantaged if you didn't do elective maths. Your commas must be sharp. Any other thing you can just learn on top. If Ghana puts 0 of the hours in computers and put everything in production of wheat, of course, they will have 0 computers and 5,000 wheat, tons of wheat. Why 5,000? Because there are 50,000 hours and a ton of wheat requires 10 hours. Divide by 10. 0 will cancel 0, and then we have 5,000 left. Similarly, 40,000 hours will give you 400 computers, and that should be straightforward and easy to see. 10,000 hours will give you 1,000 tons of wheat. On the next slide, we are going to plot these numbers on a graph. We are plotting these numbers on a graph on the next slide. Remember, these are production, and the PPF is about production. Let me take some messages. So I'm really enjoying the class. Thank you very much for your efforts. Yes, I tried. Thank you too. Okay. These are the numbers we want to take onto the graph. Because you have done commerce, you know how to plot a graph. Point number A, computer is 500, wheat is 0. So it is an x-axis intercept. Point B, there is 400 for computer, 1,000 for wheat. Point C is plotted. Point D is plotted. Point E is plotted. So all point A, B, C, D, E are lying on the straight line. And that is our possibility frontier. It shows how the various combinations Ghana can produce at point E, point D, point C, point B, or point A. Okay. That's our production possibility frontier. It shows the possibilities. Bocano, why is wheat on the y-axis? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can change them, but please remind me to tell you that where you put them will also matter in the language, how you interpret them. Sir, is it always the curve will be negatively sloped? Yes, because it is showing a trade-off. You cannot, the only way you can have more computers is to reduce the wheat. Once there's that negative relationship in the form of trade-off, the line will be negatively sloped, as you are asking. There's no way you can have more computers unless you give up more wheat. That introduces a negative relationship. Okay, let's explore some of the points here. Look at this point F. Look at point F, for example. Point F has 100 computers. What does it mean to have 100 computers? That means 100 computers, how many hours did they invest? 100 computers. A computer costs 100 hours. So altogether, they spent what? 10,000 hours. That's the only way they got 100 computers. Point F has 3,000 wheat. How many hours were spent in order to get 3,000 tons of wheat? A ton of wheat costs 10 hours. They must have spent 30,000 hours. So to be at point F, you need 40,000. You need 40,000 altogether to be at point F. 10,000 plus 30,000 That is it. Point F required 40,000 hours. But why would anybody use 40,000 when you have 50,000? Are you like an incompetent manager? You have 50,000 hours. Boys want to work. You are creating unemployment. There are 50,000 hours. You are only using 40,000. That is why this point is inefficient. Resources are lying idle and there is unemployment. Look at point G. Another point, this is outside the PPF. What is point G? Point G has 300 computers. What does it mean? How many hours must have been invested? 300 computers. A computer requires 100 hours. In other words, you need 30,000 hours to be at 300 computers. Secondly, point G has 3,500 tons of wheat. 3,500 tons of wheat. What does it mean for the hours invested? 3,500 tons of wheat. A ton of wheat requires 10 hours, and therefore we have 35,000. So to be at point G, you need 30,000 plus 35,000 hours of labor. Altogether, that is 65,000. That is not possible. Not possible because we only have 50,000. You need 65,000 to be at point G. It is not possible because we have only 50,000 workers. Therefore, point G is called not possible or unattainable. Unattainable. We cannot be here. You cut your quota according to your size. You can be inside or on the line. You cannot be outside. It is unattainable. You don't have the resources for that. Let me take some messages. What do we know of the PPF so far? Points like A to E are on the line, and therefore they are possible. And they are also efficient because all the 50,000 hours were used. Point like F, which was inside a PPF, is possible. I've told you it is not efficient. Some resources are underutilized. There is unemployment. Point G is above the line. It is not possible. It is unattainable. That is point G. Let me take some messages. Okay. Let me see what's here for messages. Where is it? Where is the chat? Please, sir, I have not been joined to any group yet. Please, please, please. That's not for this class. After at the end. Okay. On the message, sir, can you go over point F and G? Enoch, what's the majority of transformation? Oh, we don't want to go into that majority of product transformation here, okay? You might cover probably that next semester, okay? It's a related concept, okay? The rate at which one product can be transformed. But we'll talk about opportunity cost, how you sacrifice one for the other. So the online is not working, poor network. I'm really sorry, really, really sorry. We'll post the video so you can watch again. Okay, let's go, folks. Am I good on time? What time is it? 9:04, 26 minutes. Let's do it. We have 15 slides, 26 minutes. I'm taking a break from the PPF. Let's talk about something here and we'll go back. I've told economists can be scientists or economic advisors, okay? As an advisor, as a scientist, you make positive statements. Like when you sleep in mosquito nets, you will not get malaria. That's a positive statement. It can be tested. But as an advisor, you also talk about your opinion, what you think, what should be. That becomes what we call a normative statement. They are value judgment, what you think, what you are preferring as your opinion. Those statements are normative. But positive statements are direct, what it is, and it is not your opinion, and it can be tested with data or refuted. Let's take examples. A, somebody says, prices rise when the government increases the quantity of money. He's not talking about his opinion. No, this is not his own judgment. He's telling you what it is. Prices rise when government increases the quantity of money. Therefore, it is a positive statement. B, government should print less money. Because of the word should, the guy is just offering an opinion. It becomes normative. Government should print. Okay, he's only telling us, okay, encouraging us to print. It's normative. It is a value judgment, and we cannot confirm or refute this. A tax cut is needed to stimulate the economy. Of course, this is a positive statement, right? Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. It's normative. A tax cut is needed because of the word needed. Okay, I actually didn't see this. It's needed, right? He is offering his opinion. A tax cut is needed, yeah. Okay. Then D. D says what? An increase in the price of burritos will cause an increase in consumer demand for music download. Burritos is like something they wrap, like the shawarma you guys wrap. It used to be one of my favorites in the US. The Mexicans do it the best. So this is definitely positive, right? An increase in the price of burrito will cause an increase in consumer demand for music downloads. We can test this with data or refute. It's positive. Okay, so actually we have two positive, two normatives. The word needed here makes it value judgment. Let me see if there are messages here. Oh, sir, please, I can't hear. Sorry about that, Oforiwa. Somebody says, sir, point G can become obtainable when there's development of the human resource, development of technology and discovery. Yes, I will get there. That will be the next after this when we talk about economic growth. Okay, perfect. Some of you are ahead of the class, but that's fine. They probably did it in high school. You will be fine. Why do economists disagree? It is mostly said that economists don't agree. A lot of the time, I also disagree with my colleagues who speak on TV. Okay, I feel like this guy, where did he study economics? But he can also defend his points, right? We differ because sometimes we see things differently. Somebody will say, if you want to stimulate the COVID economy, Ghana's economy is down. To stimulate it, somebody will say, remember the president says don't tax the nurses and doctors. They shouldn't pay tax because of the COVID. It's a way of stimulating their purchasing power demand. Some economists believe don't do that. Rather, let the government spend their money rather. Like giving free water, electricity. Don't give it to them through tax cut. Rather spend it. So if they are supposed to take trotro, provide a bus, then they save their trotro money. Some people believe in that route than rather giving it to them. So that's why we may disagree. It's a positive statement. We can test whether cutting tax will improve or providing by government spending is better. We can test. Positive statement, but we may disagree. So we see things differently as economists. That's why we may disagree. Okay. Economists hardly agree. We only agree on the 10 principles. Actually, that's why they are principles. And so we agree they are truths. Two economists appeared on a TV show and they were agreeing to the same point. And people were shocked about Korea's development issues. They were discussing Korea's development issues. And they were all in agreement that, okay, I agree. And people were surprised. Why would two economists agree to Korea's development? Only to be realized that one of them was thinking about North Korea and the other was thinking about South Korea. So at the end of the day, they were still not TV actually. agreeing or thinking about the same stuffs, right? So economists always disagree, okay? My high school teacher will remember I always disagree with him, and he will later say Deborah was right and so on. Anyway, that's the gist of it. So that's why economists may disagree. Another time we may disagree because of the normatives. The example I gave about positive statement, the tax cuts and government spending. The normatives, somebody is a Christian and therefore you say you cannot do prostitution for money. He's a Christian, he's an economist, so his values are different and he will not prescribe that. Another economist doesn't believe that. He said, whatever you do to get out of poverty, I am a poverty economist, whatever you do to get out of poverty, go for it. So the value judgment, then economists will disagree over there also. So we may disagree because we see positive statements, the outcomes differently, or because our values differ, and therefore, even in terms of our opinions we prefer, we disagree. Back to PPF. Let me pick messages. Sir, can we share the screen with others? I don't know what that means. I've disabled your sharing because some of you have been writing on it. Very mischievous. Unbelievable. People hijack the screen and they write. Sir, if economists disagree with each other, then can it be oh, I didn't get that. The message has vanished. So I'm still confused with positive and normative. Yes, examples are in the homework. They will help you. Okay. They will help you. If I say Economics 101 should be compulsory, that is normative. It is my opinion. But if I say students who study hard will pass Economics 101, that can be tested. It's a positive statement. Students who study will pass. We can test that. Okay. I know it's a bit tricky. With a lot of examples, it becomes clearer. Okay. Okay. I can't see. Okay, these are old messages. Excellent. Let's do it. What is opportunity cost? Remember, opportunity cost of an item is what must be given up to obtain that. This is the most important part of this morning's class. Moving along a PPF involves shifting resources, labor, from the production of one good to the other. That is the idea of trade-off, right? Society faces a trade-off. The only way you can get more computer is to reduce production of wheat. And that's what I've said, the curve is negatively sloped. You are here. The only way you can have more computer here is to have a corresponding decrease in the wheat. So we are facing a trade-off. You cannot eat your cake and have it back. Society faces a trade-off. Once there is trade-off, we are interested in the opportunity cost. Somebody will ask, but sir, if I want one more computer, how much wheat will I have to sacrifice? That is what we want to talk about. Opportunity cost of producing computers. This is it. The slope. That here we are borrowing from commerce. The slope of the PPF tells you the opportunity cost of one good in terms of the other. Okay. So if you just want to know, you ask me, sir, how many wheat tons of wheat should I sacrifice if I want one more computer? I'll tell you, calculate the slope of the PPF. That's it. The slope of the PPF tells us the opportunity cost. Okay. Next. This is the PPF. My dear friends, we are going to use Colmart to calculate the slope. I'm borrowing from Colmart. Some of you can calculate the slope, some of you cannot. I shall remind you. I apologize. Those of you who are running away from Colmart, it has come back to you, my dear friends. What is this point here? This point is actually 500 and 0. Point A. Point E is what? 0, 5,000. This is my X1. It doesn't matter. You can start from the top. You can start from here. I am starting from here. You can label it anyone. This is X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Any way you can calculate the slope, go ahead, the gradient. I'm just doing this because I have to do it as a teacher. What is gradient, my dear friends? Y2 minus Y1, X2 minus X1, commas is following you. What is Y2? Let me do it down here. What is Y2? Y2, 5K. What is Y1? 0. What is X2? Where's my X2? 0 at the top here. Where's my X1? 500. Calculate this for me, folks. This is 5,000. Folks, calculate for me. Over negative 500. What is the slope? Negative 10. Let me see the chat box there, folks who got it right. Okay, Seidu, yes. Aita Razak, yes. Mark Edu, yes. Estampov, yes. Abigail J, excellent. Okay, I'd like to meet all of you sometime, okay? I'm in statistics. Stop by if you're around. Those doing statistics will meet this afternoon for probability. Okay, so that's it. That the slope is negative 10. It is negative, of course, because this line is negatively sloped from core math. We are only borrowing. There is no economics here. The economics is the interpretation here. Here, down here. Here, the opportunity cost of a computer is 10 tons of wheat. That's it, because the slope tells us the opportunity cost. In other words, to get one computer, you are sacrificing 10 tons of wheat. Some of you know the mathematics, you can calculate the slope, but you may make a mistake in the interpretation. So pay attention to me. Is this about grammar? After the word off, you should pick the word on the x-axis. If you calculate it correctly and you see instead of putting computer here, you put the wheat here, you've messed up. Because it's just from mathematics. Once the slope is changing well by changing x, you can only put the x-axis variable here. So calculate it correctly, but please interpret correctly. Don't swap the numbers. This is where I was saying, remind me about putting wheat on the y-axis. This is the only way it is relevant. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what is on x or y-axis. Just interpret correctly. Here, the opportunity cost of computer is 10 tons of wheat. Please, these things are always on the exam. Yo. Answer this question for me. I'll give you a tip. Those who know mathematics, we have established that the slope of the line tells us the opportunity cost. Now, one of the lines is steeper than the other. The one which is flatter will have a smaller slope. The steeper one will have a bigger slope and therefore a bigger opportunity cost. Therefore, tell me in the chat box, in which country is the opportunity cost of cloth lower? If you don't know by inspection, please calculate the slope like I did. Y2 minus Y1, do that. The numbers are there. Do what I did when you go home. Some people may be able to tell by inspection, and I've given you the clue. Yes, let me check my chat box. England, iPhone user, England, Samsung user. Put your name, Telma, excellent. Prince, Bocano, Galaxy user, England. Markedu, yes, excellent. There are great guys in the class. Josephine, excellent. Joseph, you have joined the class again. Josephine Jan, okay. I haven't met you, but I'm familiar with the name. Okay, Asom in England, okay. Joy, oh, come on. Excellent, let's go, let's go. Am I good on time? 9:18, 12 minutes. Okay, let's go. What's the answer? England, because PPF is not as steep as France. Yes, we got the answer by inspection, but you can calculate the slope when you go home. Okay. When you go home, calculate the slope. Okay. Kennedy Otuochampo. Okay, that's a familiar name in this country. Okay, let's go. Go ahead. Economic growth, the guy who was talking about us improving. Okay, remember Ghana has only 50,000 workers, right? But what if there are immigration, workers come from Nigeria and Togo? Then we have more hands, therefore we can produce more. What if there's improvement in technology? Maybe there's a new technology which says when you soak the wheat seeds in water for 7 days, you harvest more than when you plant them straight. That's a new technology. We might use that to produce more wheat. Or they say that there's a new technology, if you use it to solder the wires in the laptop, it's faster, you can produce more laptop computers, then we produce more. So there are two instances where we can produce more than we are doing: when technology improves or when additional resources become available. In that case, we'll be able to produce more than our intercept, the 505,000, and therefore the PPF shifts outward, and we call that economic growth. GDP may have increased. Okay. Increase in population, technology, all of them will improve the economy, and therefore we have Henry Tay, who have seen your answer and so on. You are all doing great. So that's the idea of economic growth. Okay. Somebody was talking about development. The key word is growth, rather. Okay. You must know the difference between growth and development as an economist. That's your homework. Go and Google that, please. Please, this is very important. The PPF I showed you was a straight line, and the slope was always 10, -10. Life is not always that easy. Sometimes the slope is not 10 throughout, right? On a straight line, the slope is always 10, but you can have a bow-shaped PPF like this. This portion is steeper than this portion, so they cannot have the same slope. So we are going to learn why or when you can have the bow-shaped PPF or the straight line. Here, the ratio is 1:10. To get one more computer, sacrifice 10 tons of wheat. Here, it is different. It is lower here. Here may be 1:10. And here may be 1:20, and so on, the bow-shaped one. The opportunity cost increases as you produce more of the goods on the x-axis. We will explain why it is so, and you must know that for the purpose of exam. Let me pick some charts and move on quickly. So what about discovering idle resources? If they are idle, it means you were inside the PPF. It only moves you up. Okay, so growth will also go up. Yes, that's also idea of economic growth. And then you get to the boundary, the frontier. Okay, yes, you are right. You are right. If you are inefficient, growth will take you up, up, up until you get to the frontier. Okay, excellent. Let's do it. Why is the PPF bow shape? Why is it so? Let's explain. Okay, it is so. It can be bow shape depending on what happens, as I've explained, to the opportunity cost as resources are moved from one industry to the other. If opportunity cost remains constant, like I've said, like 1:10, PPF is a straight line. But if opportunity cost rises as you produce more of the good, one good, PPF is bow shaped. We have 6 minutes, 5 slides. Let's go. We are done. Look at this. This is a bow-shaped PPF because opportunity cost increases. Now, PPF becomes steeper as you produce more of mountain bikes. It is no more a fixed slope. It is flatter here, a bit flat, and steeper here. In other words, the opportunity cost increases as you produce more mountain bikes. Why is it so? Once I explain, we wrap up the class. Take, for example, at point A. We'll read the note and I explain. At point A, most workers are producing beer. Why is it so? Why is this statement true? At point A, most workers are producing beer. Yes, because when you trace this to the y-axis, any number which is here, I don't know the number here, but whatever it is bigger than this one. Remember, this one is close to 0. This is 0. So any number here is closer to 0, and this is far away from 0. So it is true that the number here is bigger than the one here. Therefore, at point A, most workers are producing beer. More beer is being produced than mountain bike. Okay, so more workers are producing beer, even those who are better suited to building bikes. So the economy is biased. They are producing more beer. They are pumping more workers there. It doesn't matter even if the guy is a better bike maker. Some of them are still producing beer. So because of that, if you decide to increase production of mountain bike, you are going to reduce the beer to somewhere here, but you are not losing much. The sacrifice you are making to get more bikes is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. The beer people are just seeding off a few workers to go like, hey, you go to the bike industry. So the opportunity cost is not too bad. So you do not have to give up much beer to get more bikes. It's not terrible. The problem is when you get somewhere here, we will see. We will see. At point B, right? At B, most workers are producing bikes. Yes, at this point, look, from 0 all the way, the number here will be bigger, okay, than here. All things being equal, okay? So take it like that, is 0. So at point B, most workers are producing bikes. The few left in B are the best workers, yes. Remember that you are drawing workers from the beer to the bike. Those that are very good in beer, they are those who will remain. They will be the last people to leave that industry. So as you are dragging workers from beer to mountain bike, less beer is being produced. It's becoming expensive to bring the top-notch guys who are the brewers into the bike. You may have to retrain them. It is expensive. They are the best. When they leave, the amount of beer produced will plummet by a higher quantity. And therefore, to produce more bikes from here, getting more bikes, you are losing more beer. In other words, it is costing more beer to produce more bikes. And therefore, the opportunity cost is higher at point B than at point A. For that reason, the PPF looks like this and becomes bow shape. That is the reason. Look at this here. Producing more bikes would require shifting some of the best brewers away from the beer production, causing a big drop in beer output. So it is now expensive at point B than at point A to increase your production of mountain bikes. Therefore, as you move from the top to the down, it becomes more expensive. The cost is increasing, and economics, the cost of something is what you give up, and therefore opportunity cost is increasing as you move from top to the bottom. Let me pick questions, if any. Very difficult to understand though, but trying to follow the steps. Watch the video again and read the slides. They will be on Sakai. You will be fine. You must just know when it is bow shape and when it is a straight line. Straight line, the opportunity cost is constant. Bow shape, the slope is different. So opportunity cost increases. It's becoming more expensive over here, okay? If you are situated here, increasing production of mountain bikes, you would have to sacrifice so much beer than if you were here and wanting to produce more bikes. Because the beer industry, you have to poach more workers, and these are the best brewers. When they leave, beer production suffers and so on. Read this slide. I'm giving you 1 minute to read this slide. It should clear up things. 1 minute, please read this slide. Okay. I hope it clarifies a bit. Okay. It's 9:30. Let's go. This is the last slide. Summary. The PPF shows combination of two goods an economy can possibly produce, given resources and technology. PPF illustrates a trade-off. I've said that over and over. It shows opportunity cost, of course, the slope. It shows efficiency. When you are on the line, you are using all your resources. It shows inefficiency. If you are inside the curve, you are not using all resources. PPF shows unemployment. In that case, where resources are lying idle, we are able to use PPF to show economic growth. Okay, so that's the end of the class. I'm going to pause the recording and take questions for just few questions and